Hello, word nerds! Happy Sunday! It is October 27th. I had a brief moment where I wanted to say September and knew that was not right.
To be fair, October has gone by way too fast.
So,
yeah.
This is the Word Nerds channel. We are talking about our monthly book club pick. Every month we have a book club choice. This month, our book club pick was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. It was very good. Hopefully you have read it if you are here. If not, that's totally fine. Just know that we are going to be spoiling the whole thing. So be prepared for that. And yeah, so we always start these things with our rating out of 5 stars. If you've read the book, please let us know your rating as well. I'm going to start with Rachel.
Ooh, okay. I give this a 5 out of 5 stars. I was hyping myself up so much that I wasn't sure if I was going to give it that high of a rating, but it definitely lived up to expectations, and it was well written. It was a fun love story. It was funny. It hit a lot of close places with me, and just overall I thought it was a really great book.
Yeah, Erin?
Definitely 5 out of 5. I didn't really go into it with expectations because I'm not like a contemporary romance person usually, but I loved it. I haven't had a book in a while, I think, that I couldn't put down, and I didn't stop for lunch type of read. So yeah, 5 out of 5 for sure for me as well.
Emma?
It's been a few months since I read it because I read an advanced copy of it. But I think I probably would give it about 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was the perfect rom-com, I guess. It did, there were some parts of it that took me a little bit longer to get through and stuff, but I still read it, I think, in a couple days and really enjoyed it. It just took me a little while, I think, to get into it, especially because it's in third person present, which is really weird. So
I forgot about that.
yeah. And I think also I didn't get to have the experience of seeing the text conversations the way they're formatted in the book, as I think that would have been even more enjoyable if I'd had that with the real book rather than the advanced copy, which I think the formatting wasn't fully.
Did you have a digital copy
I think.
or a paper?
It was a digital one.
I don't remember the text not being. I also had an ARC.
They were there as text, but I feel maybe the emojis and stuff weren't they? Didn't it say what the emoji was going to be?
I remember having a little bit of a hard time telling who was who.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was I know there was something with the text that was difficult.
Yeah.
Wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much everything Emma said, including the arc bits and the tense bits. And it was somewhere between a 4.5 and a 5 for me. I absolutely loved it. It did take me a little bit to get into. And looking back at it, it's maybe wasn't as memorable as a lot of similar books are for me. I can't tell you the kind of specifics I usually can with contemporary because it's easier to follow everything. There was still a lot going on, but I really, really loved it.
Yeah. Probably same as Kelly, somewhere between 4.5 and 5. I think I gave it 5 on Goodreads. I had so much fun reading it. I really enjoyed it. The tense was weird to me, but I was able to get into it pretty easily. Despite that, but I had a couple other things that I didn't. Basically, I'm sick to death of a forced outing, and I didn't think this book needed it, and so that was extremely disappointing to me. That it happened that way, and then there was sometimes I had a hard time suspending my disbelief that you were just able to have sex around the White House and no one knew. But otherwise I really loved it. It was great. So yeah, I guess it's always harder to have an extensive discussion when we all generally liked the book. So I guess we will start with what part for you was, this is a rom-com obviously, so what part for you was the funniest? I've been thinking about this, so I can go while you think.
I read it such a long time ago, it feels like.
I personally really like the point where they're both in the hotel room and the head of security knocks on the door. And he's like, "Oh God, go hide in the closet." He's really in the closet. I need you to go, and then he does, and then
falls out of the closet.
Yeah, it falls out of the closet. He's like, "Oh, hello!" And she's like, "What is happening?" Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the turkey scene where he brings the turkey home with him and it stays in his room.
Oh, yes.
I actually cackled at that part. And seeing Casey McQuiston posted a page out of that scene before the book came out. And like that scene was the reason that I suggested we read this book for a book club. I was like, we have to read this and talk about it.
Oh, bless.
I think she like posted that like on Thanksgiving on like the turkey pardoning
Yeah.
day or whatever.
And I'm very excited. We all pick book club picks throughout the year and then vote on them. And the last couple years, only a couple people have read my book club picks. So I'm very excited that so many of us are here this time.
You picked a good one, Megan.
Yeah.
I love how mainstream this one went. Maybe because of or despite of it being an LGBTQ book. Sometimes when that happens, it's not for the right reasons, or it just doesn't get picked up at all. So it was really cool that this one was so highly hyped and like people were excited about it and it sold really well. So that's probably also
even away from like the sales hype and general book club hype, we picked a couple this year just based on like personal preference hype. And so this one and Evelyn Hugo are what I'm thinking of. If no one had read it yet, we'd heard good things, and they both worked out, which was nice.
Yeah, that hasn't always happened for us.
Yeah, hype books don't always go well.
No, not always.
True.
Yeah.
As we have learned.
Yeah, last year I picked Children of Blood and Bone, and I was the only one who liked it. Everyone else was like, it was okay. And I was like, oh no.
I mean, it's meant for lots of people, so, you know, it's okay.
But also that can make a good conversation.
For sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. So I'm glad Rachel mentioned the sometimes LGBTQ books get really, really popular and really, really hyped, but for the wrong reasons. And for a while, I was like really sure that this one would be like taking on that kind of thing, because like it's got like a lot of scenes that are like rather hot and heavy, right?
It's a romance.
And it's an adult romance, right?
Super explicit.
Yeah, it is adult romance.
Yeah.
It's okay. It is adult. It's not.
Yeah. They are adults. Yes.
Yeah. It was
Like
published
you're
adult.
20 or something.
Yeah. But like a lot of like I find queer male characters seem to get fetishized, and I don't feel like people have that kind of reaction to it though. Just like looking at comments and stuff, like people love the characters and like their relationships. I really love seeing that. Yeah.
Well, they
It's so sexy. Like
it's kind of like they were written as characters, like as people, and they weren't written just as a like characterization of someone to fetishize.
Yeah. So
They
when I
both already had so much going on in terms of like the president's son and like all that stuff was already like a lot on its own.
Exactly. Yeah. They were fully developed characters that were clearly there to, you know, be characters and not just an erotica story.
Yeah, not like the hot billionaire and like the coffee shop person or the barista or something. Yeah.
I think it was done well.
Yeah, like they were interesting characters in an interesting world before it was romantic.
Yeah, and with an interesting main story that isn't about the sex.
Yeah.
And they had a little bit of like an enemies to friends to lovers thing, but I sometimes when I read like enemies to lovers, it feels a little forced. But this, it was very easy to be like, I can see why you would think that about the other person. I can see how like your cultural differences would make you think that like the Englishman is stuck up. Because he's quieter than you are. Stuff like
For sure.
Or like he would make fun of Henry's hobbies or something, because like, oh, you play polo and like you really you like those slacks, like okay, they're Englishman. Like I just like it's funny you can tease it, but they weren't like outright rude to each other.
Yeah, it wasn't like I can't see how you could turn this banter into friendship. It was like, oh, this is banter. You guys don't know it.
Exactly. Flirting, like
I feel like it's like really clear early on. You're like, okay, Henry is into Alex.
Like, not trying to hide it.
And Alex is like, this like annoying guy, and you're like, he's into you.
And you are obviously into him.
Yeah, exactly.
the hate flirting. Yeah.
Yes. Welcome people in the comments. We had, and Griswold gave the story 4 stars and said, I was surprised by how much I liked it and honestly thought it lived up to all the hype. I think it was a bit longer than it needed to be, especially at the end. I could agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
I liked the hype at the end with the voting polls and everything. I thought it handled the tension of that very well.
I did.
I think it was very timely considering.
I like enjoyed all the election parts towards the end, but it also was like really depressing to read as an American.
Yeah.
Yeah. It like definitely brought back a lot of like 2016 trauma reading those parts of the book. So
I know. It was very difficult, and like actually while I was reading those points, part of myself was like, you know it's gonna end up okay. Like it's a book. It's a romance. It's gonna end up okay. And then like I was reading it being like, but what if it doesn't end up okay?
Yeah, I was like, it's a romance.
That's like the real world politics.
I was like, it's a romance, so they're going to get together. That's going to be a happily ever after, but it's not guaranteed that the political subplot is going to turn out okay. Like that's not guaranteed in a romance. So I was still like not sure.
That was I think where I had to suspend some of my disbelief because he was like, yeah, I'm bi, and then the whole world was like, that's so rad! Woo, let's make your mom president. And I was like, that would not happen. I mean, as much as I would love for that to happen, that would not happen. But I was like, that's like the world that I wish was real.
I don't think it's too far outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
It's not his mom who's coming out; it's him, and she's already been president. So like, yeah. I think it does show that there is like conflict in her reelection because of him coming out.
Yeah, actually, I like that point as well. They like touched on it.
All of the political stuff was interesting. It's that sometimes you talk about how like characters having really in-depth, interesting hobbies can be really interesting in contemporary stories. So the politics in this one was that for me. Of like, it's something I'm interested in anyway, but seeing Alex's side of it and their like senator friend and all of that was. Yeah.
I remember. Like when I like reviewed it like on Goodreads and stuff, I like said like it's great for people who like the West Wing plus rom-coms because like it definitely like struck that West Wing chord for me of like the excitement of like an idealized liberal world.
You know, the Liberals just won again in Canada, woo, with our re-election, so that's good.
Minority government, but still good.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely felt like while I was reading the book, it felt very cathartic for me to see on the page all these things that you would hope for America. But then I did have a little bit at the end of like closing the book and then like opening Twitter. Favorite line of the book. They made a name tag, a nameplate that was replaced for Mitch McConnell.
Oh yeah.
Every time I recommend the book to someone, I mention that.
I forgot about that part. It's so good.
Yeah.
I loved all their emails back and forth to each other. That was my favorite part.
All the nicknames that they keep coming up with. So good. They're all like this long. Like,
yeah, the emails were very stressful for me though for a long time. I kept waiting for something to go wrong there.
I was like, leaked emails.
This coming.
He's on a private server mailing his friends.
Yeah.
I did really appreciate that, and I know this is something that like came up like on social media or whatever. I appreciate that like Henry, who's like this character from this like, you know, conservative English royal family, like he's the one who like already knows his identity and has come to terms with it. While like Alex, who like has grown up in this like liberal family, like, and like where he could be very comfortable about his identity, he's the one who like doesn't realize that he's bi. Because I know someone like in a review or something said it like wasn't realistic that he wouldn't know who's bi by the time he's an adult. Like he would have figured it out younger because he's in this accepting like liberal family. And like that's not the case for some people. Like he just had never had a reason to question it, you know.
Especially for men, I feel like. Yeah, because with men, it's so like it can be so polarizing. Where it's like if you like other dudes, you're gay. If you like women, you're straight.
And like he's not like effeminate or anything, you know. So I really appreciate that it's like an adult figuring out like his identity.
But his identity is more nuanced than he thought.
And that and that it's not because he's from some like family that's super intolerant or something. It's just because
Yeah.
Because I did it.
And there
It's complicated. It takes time to figure it out.
people that have these complaints about bi people not being like fully down the middle of equally liking guys and equally liking girls don't understand how that works, because like it's possible to go through your life mostly liking girls and then find one guy that you fall for or one guy that you find really attractive, or vice versa, obviously. You
Yeah.
know, like, I knew somebody that thought that they were straight until she met the one woman and fell in love with her, and they're married, right? Like,
Yeah, you never know who is going to end up being your partner, and it's not just a 50-50 split.
yeah. So it
And sometimes
irritates
it takes a while to figure that out.
me. Exactly.
And I do think that's it's not like categorized as new adult, because new adult doesn't really get its own category. But I do think that that's a very new adult theme, is like thinking you knew yourself and then realizing it wasn't exactly what you thought.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, but there's all this pressure on
early to mid 20s.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. I don't know if this is like on purpose or not, and especially with YA having like a large like finding yourself kind of theme. It seems to like, oh, if you're not 18 and like know what you're doing with your life and who you are, then like what's gonna happen? You have to choose university, or you have to choose, where you're gonna live. You have to get a job. You have to have a career, and like what have you. It's like a lot of people don't figure that stuff out until much later in life. And like my best friend didn't figure out that she was bisexual until she was 27. Like stuff happens. I'm like, everyone's still figuring their lives out.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think too, YA, it's like a very, I am fighting this big thing to say, I am grown up, I am doing the things, I know me. And then the new adult theme is like Alex generally knows his personality. His personality doesn't change at all. It's just realizing that there's like sides to himself that he didn't know yet.
Yeah.
Which is a really big part of adulthood, being like, yeah, I kind of get who I am, but there's still more to figure out.
Yeah, and you get exposed to so many new things when you're a young adult as well, because I'm still finding hobbies that I like doing and people that I like and what have you. So it's, there's more than just like when you turn 18, you're like, okay, you're done. Like,
you are a complete person now. I would have been in so much
go out
trouble.
into the world.
Yeah. I'm just trying to imagine like me.
Oh God.
Continuing to be the person you were at 18, that is depressing.
Oh God.
Even the same as like 23-year-old I'm very different now than I was then.
Yeah.
But it's like all these small subtle things that as you like come to realize you're more of an adult now than you were then, I guess.
For sure.
I also especially liked having Alex as our main character, not only because he's hilarious and funny and has like a good perspective on things, but I think male bisexual characters are not a thing. Like it's more acceptable for females to be bisexual and not so much with guys, because it's like Aaron said, like if you're a guy then you're gay and that's it. So it was nice to see him as both. And yes, they do play up like Playboy thing a little bit, which I think is funny. But it was just cool. He was a great character to follow along with, and that was just a part of his life, and how everyone was accepting at the end was just delightful and kind of came into his own, and it was great.
I was really excited to see that he was bisexual as well, because I feel like we get a lot of like a certain type of representation. We have a lot of gay men in fiction, which is great. And then we have a lot of bi girls in fiction. Well, not a lot, but we have some bi girls in fiction who almost always end up with men by the end of the book for some reason or other, which is not bad either, because that happens obviously in real life. But like I want to see more of like mix it up and like let's see different characters and different sexualities. And so I was excited to see that he was bi. He had dated his friend. See, I can't remember any of the names because I read it so long ago. And then he was realizing, oh, I like boys as well. So yeah, I don't know. I really liked that he was bi.
I loved June as a character.
Oh, so great. The White House 3 were so fun to follow along with.
Yeah, it was like one of those friend groups in books where you're like, I want to be your friends too.
Exactly.
I also just like loved Alex's family, like and like a good family group or something in like a rom-com is always one of my favorite things. and I love their dynamic together.
I'm so used to being to parents being dead that it was kind of for them to be there and to be awesome too, you know.
Yeah, like his mom like is like, oh, we're gonna order pizza, whatever. They all have pizza and like as they're planning something, and she's like, oh, I'm not talking to you as your president right now. I'm talking to you as your mom. Like, what's wrong? She's like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. Wow.
The slideshow.
Yes. This is why I'm okay with you being bisexual. So if we're gonna have this, these are my thoughts.
Princess England.
Oh, friggin' PowerPoint presentation. Love it.
Oh, so great. And like definitely relatable. Definitely something I could see myself doing for my child one day. Let me show you this PowerPoint presentation on
going full Amy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you mean?
Yes. Yes, like Leslie No, like that would 100% be me. Like here's this binder I made you. It has tabs.
Yes,
color coded.
You would
Yes,
table of contents.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one of your videos it was, but you were like, here's the binder, whack on the table. And I was like, ah, yes. It's misbehavior tracks.
Probably me.
Yes. It was some plotting video or something.
I have a lot of binders. Yeah, so how did everyone feel about the ending of the book? I've already talked about how I felt, so I would love to hear how everyone else felt.
Hopeful, I guess, is the best way.
A little sad.
Yeah.
But I like that it ended that way. I almost expected it not to, because I was expecting like a bittersweet ending where the election was lost, but they got together. So it's kind of a surprise for me that it actually turned out that way.
Oh God, what's everyone talking about? I don't remember this.
It's just
I
that
thought it was like
his
it was the
mom
election
winning.
and like everything today.
Yes,
Yes,
come out as a
good.
couple and like people make the history t-shirts.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was nice.
Yes, that part's good. What's everyone talking about that's bad? I don't remember that.
Nothing is bad.
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
No,
Worry.
Everything ended well. I remember
I was
everything ended well. Okay, good.
No, it did.
I also didn't read this book for a couple of months, so
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah, same.
okay, good.
So,
Not going crazy.
no, I was just saying I expected a bittersweet ending, but it wasn't. It was just sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, romance novel. I get it.
Yes.
Yeah. And honestly, like, obviously the book was a romance between Alex and Henry. But it also felt very much like a love letter to like what American politics is and can be.
What we were
So like in that way, the romance got its happily ever after also, or like happy for now, I guess would be more of the romance category for it. Yeah. I just really, it would be easy 5 stars for me if they had had their own agency in coming out as a couple.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that is how a lot of people are.
I get that that's
Forced
how it
to do
happens
it.
for a lot of people, but it seems like it's the only way that it happens in
Yeah.
books. And
I guess
don't know
it's dramatic,
if
and you need drama in a book. You need
Well,
tension and
I
drama.
can kind of see why they did it with this one in particular, because you know, as they're emailing each other, you're like, the emails are going to get leaked. They're going to get leaked,
Mhm.
right? And because they're so famous, you have people like poking around and reporters snooping around. So like, you're almost expecting it.
Yeah, it felt like
Yeah,
an
I was
inevitability to
expecting
me. Like this is what
See,
it's coming
it felt
to.
so inevitable to me that I thought that Henry was going to be the one to leak them himself. And I was really disappointed that he didn't have his agency in that. Like, I kept waiting for him to be like, I like, he goes to see Henry after all that time apart, after all this has happened. And I expected Henry to be like apologizing because he was the one who leaked them.
That would make his character really not redeemable for me, though.
Yeah, I probably would
I
have
would
been like,
not like that.
F you, man. Like, how dare you?
But Alex was the one who wanted to come out. Like, Alex was the one who was like, why don't we tell people? And Henry was like, I'm not ready. And so I feel like him doing that to me would have been like, yeah, you made a mistake, but also you did what he wanted you to do. I don't know.
I guess so. I would just be so careful with that. That's.
I know. I'm trying to think, like, even if I was talking with a partner, being like, "Oh, I don't know if we should come out. Like, I really want to," and they were like, "I don't know," and then they leak some of our personal emails, I'd be like, "That's not cool, man. Like, I get what you were going for, but that's still not cool."
Yeah. Maybe if they had both decided to leave them, you know.
Yeah, and I was also
that
open
would be
to them doing that.
Yeah.
It was just so disappointing to me to read another book where
Yeah,
a couple
for
doesn't
sure.
get to choose, that people know they're a couple.
Sorry, I see someone in the comments saying that I'm very ghostly. Yes, I know. I know.
Because you're wearing
dressed in white, which was a bad
Who
idea. I
could've
wanted to
known?
go along with the theme. I was like, oh, red, you know, red lip, and then I'll don't own anything blue, so I'll go in a white shirt. But everything is white behind me, so I'm just throwing my white balance off like crazy right now.
You're just red and white for Canada.
Yeah, that's why. There we go. The sky was blue today. It was sunny in Canada for once, so every time being thematic.
Yeah, and Griswold had a long yell, same line, said, I thought Henry was going to be the leaker as well, but could Alex have stayed with him if he jeopardized the campaign?
Yeah,
That would definitely have been a big stumbling block.
yeah. I'm trying to think of even like my own experience when like someone does something sort of terrible and like you want to forgive them, but it doesn't really matter because you still like deep down can't. I think it was one of those.
I think it would have made the book a lot longer because like that would have been a huge.
There was enough book left when it got leaked that I was like, oh, this is what we're going to deal with at the end. And maybe I was just looking for anything that it could have been other than what it was. But
right.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see the betrayal coming of the guy with the guy from the thing with the campaign.
The other senator.
Yes, the other senator. I don't remember what his name is, but
I mean, it was and wasn't, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there was reasons.
Yeah, I don't know where his name is, but yeah, that was a little bit like, oh, all right, okay. Oh, wanted to start with. I just saw what I was going. Sorry, what?
No, I was gonna say I think I saw something coming, but I also wasn't surprised when he was like redeemed afterwards, and you found out why. Like that didn't surprise me either, but it was still like a satisfying payoff, I think.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I didn't think he was going to do the betrayal thing just because that character had been behind LGBT rights for so long that him switching over to being conservative, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But if you have to save your own skin, you know, you may do something drastic even if you don't necessarily agree with it. So I was like, all right. And then he kind of like does the little thing at the end of payback of retribution. I was like, all right, fine. That's all right. You made a mistake. We get it. It had dire consequences, but like you're back on track. I was like, all right, fine.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think if we haven't touched on anything. Yeah.
I just want to really quickly say I love the the best relationship is with the head of security, Zara, and the other head of security for English is one day she's just like, no, I never do anything. And you're like, okay. And then one day she like comes in, they're like, did you get married? And she's like, yes. And then
Yes.
with who? I'm not gonna tell you. And then the other day they come over, hey sweetie, and I was like, oh god. You guys got married. So funny. So well done.
She was one of my favorite characters.
Like yells obscenities and like, okay, yeah, great. Let's see you for dinner later.
Yeah, that was great. I just love a good poker face character.
Yeah, definitely.
So good.
Well, so we all liked the book. So this is going to be a shorter chat. Final thoughts on the books. Definitely read it if you haven't yet. Even knowing what happens, I think
you kind of knew it was going to happen anyway.
Like did anything shocking really happen?
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. Next month's book club is going to be a November/December book club. It's going to be taking place on, I think it's December the 1st.
I think so too.
Yeah, Sunday, December the 1st. And we are going to be talking about Three Dark Crowns by
Kendra Blake.
Kendra Blake, yes. So it's a bigger one. It's a fantasy. So definitely pick it up early. We'd love
It's
to.
very good.
Yeah, but we are pushing it back a week because of NaNoWriMo. We want to make sure that we're able to do write-ins every week of Nano.
All write-ins, all the time.
All write-ins all the time.
Is our Nano schedule locked in? Is that a thing we can talk about?
Yes, yeah. So we will be doing a virtual write-in on the NaNoWriMo channel on November the 2nd, which is this upcoming Saturday. And we will be doing it at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So we would love to see you over there as well. We'll tweet out links and everything. Nano will also be tweeting out links. And then we will be back on this channel on November the 3rd at our usual Sunday time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, for our normal live chat. And yeah, best of luck getting started. Am I forgetting anything? Okay. So,
it's all write-ins from here, so it's easy to remember.
It's all write-ins through November. So hopefully we will see you there. Be sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.